All right, now are those value plays like enough to sneak McDavid or Draisaitl in the lineup at center, AJ? The Oilers are on the second half of back-to-back here. You fading them or paying up?
I'm going to fade them. There's just so many question marks about the Oilers right now that the price tags are too big for these guys. Like I said, Stuart Skinner is going to be the goaltender tonight, so I'm not really loving the Oilers here and their chances on having a good game. So I kind of tipped my hand to this already, but I think Dylan Larkin is worth a serious look at 7,500 given that matchup. And then further down the price range, Jared McCann is going up, and Seattle are going up against the Coyotes. He's at just 5,900 here, and that's a steal. 4 goals and 3 helpers in his last 6 games, and poised for another big night. I should also mention that Arizona is going to use Vejmelka in back-to-back nights. That's despite him giving up 5 goals to the Canucks last night. They're going to use him at 2 games in a row, which is pretty rare. Especially with such a bad performance. They don't really have another option. Scott Wedgwood is still dealing with an injury, so they're kind of have their hands tied here. And so I think it's a good opportunity, again, to use Seattle, a team that we haven't talked about a ton this season.
All right, Paul, you going to pay up for these two dudes?
No, without upsetting my friend Jeff, I still don't like the fact that this team put up a feeble effort last night against the Golden Knights, and I have to see more than what they've done in the last few games. They combined for 5 points, the two big boys in Edmonton, in their last 4 games played. They should each be able to do that on their better days. Throw in the fact that a rested Chicago team comes to town with Marc-Andre Fleury in the nets. That's a mismatch and a half in the nets. I'm surprised AJ didn't harp on that, but I will. Stuart Skinner up from the minors to fill in the net at the other side. The Hawks are struggling too in the recent starts, but the goaltending will be the difference tonight, and the Flower will tip the scales there. I also agree with the look on Dylan Larkin. He's been on a heater of late with 7 goals and 12 points, along with 38 shots on goal in his last 10, and faces the struggling Flyers. That pick costs $7,500. I think it makes more sense to me than the Edmonton big boys.
Jeff, these are your guys.
Yeah, I mean, look, Stuart Skinner in net, he's probably going to be an upgrade over Mike Smith, and he's not on the power play, you know. I mean, it's not a big deal here if whoever's starting a net for Edmonton. I wouldn't mind seeing Skinner put in 6 goals, because it'll just mean McDavid or Draisaitl will have to be shooting the puck more. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the Oilers kind of got embarrassed last night, and you're likely going to see a pretty big bounce back. This is also the Chicago Blackhawks we're talking about. 6th worst power play in the league, 8th most goals against. It's a pretty solid matchup, and I mean, I like Larkin too, but let's not compare apples to oranges here. I mean, the upside with Draisaitl and McDavid is still there. I would probably just pay up for McDavid, because I do feel like there would be a lot of people thinking in this kind of line tonight. You can still pair him with Evander Kane fairly cheaply. I mean, Kane's still coming in under 6K. McDavid and Kane obviously playing together on the regular, at regular strength. You're probably going to see Evander Kane mixing in on the power play too. So, all things considered, people going to stay off McDavid here. I would get on it. I just feel like this is such a different matchup than what we saw last night. I'm not shocked that the Vegas Golden Knights cleaned the Oilers' clocks, but again, we got the Blackhawks here, and it's not like the Avalanche or the Golden Knights again or the Flames. It's the Blackhawks. I think you got to pay up for one of Connor or Leon.